On today's Jerusalem Dateline, the ceasefire in Gaza extended as the hostage release continues, battling anti-Semitism around the world, with violent fallout erupting from war protests. Plus, is it even possible canceling Christmas in Bethlehem by turning off the lights in Manger Square? And two organizations committed to standing with families of fallen Israeli soldiers. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. Israel and Hamas agreed to extend the 4-day ceasefire 2 more days. The pause will likely see the release of an additional 20 hostages. Take a look. On Monday, 11 Israelis, including 2 mothers and 9 children, returned home after 52 days in captivity by Hamas. Among the reunions, 15-year-old Daphne and her 8-year-old sister Ella, who are now with their birth mother. Hamas murdered their father, stepmother, and stepbrother in kibbutz near Oz.
We are full with joy and happiness, but at the same time, we're very worried about the father, my cousin, Ofer Calderon, who's still in captivity. And I hope that we can, get to the release of the rest of the hostages, all of them, and the missing ones, since October 7th.
The hostages report food was running low during the last 2 weeks, and until the last moment, they weren't sure they'd make it home. When leaving, some thought the crowds would lynch them on the way to Israel. The White House expects more reunions.
That's really the goal here, get all the hostages home with their families where they belong. And however long that could take.
Yet Kirby says the White House is skeptical of how Hamas may use the ceasefire.
It's a real risk. You have to expect a group like Hamas, a terrorist group, which clearly doesn't abide by laws of war, will try to take advantage of any pause in the fighting for their own benefit. So we're watching that closely, as well as our Israeli counterparts. You can bet that they're watching that closely.
Bring them home!
Meanwhile, after huge pro-Palestinian marches in London, on Monday, more than 100,000 marched in Britain's capital against anti-Semitism.
Anything which is associated with the Jewish religion now feel that they're under attack and they have to look after themselves, have their own security. I never thought this would get to this stage in this country, and it's very, very upsetting to see it.
And in New York City, Mayor Eric Adams blasted high school students who forced their Jewish teacher to hide in her office after they found out she took part in a pro-Israel rally. In Vermont, a man accused of shooting 3 Palestinian students pled not guilty. Authorities are searching for evidence of a hate crime. On Monday, Elon Musk, who has been criticized for endorsing an anti-Semitic tweet, went with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on a tour of one of the kibbutzes Hamas destroyed on October 7th. Musk also saw some of the raw footage of Hamas's atrocities.
I would say an emotionally difficult day to see the places where people were murdered, and to also watch the video where the murderers are rejoicing.
Exactly, that's the worst part in the movie. Yes. I was shocked by it. Celebrating
the murder of innocent people is extremely disturbing.
Between the continuing ceasefire and what appears to be the slow release of the hostages, has Israel's war with Hamas ground to a halt? For insights, I spoke with CBN war correspondent Chuck Holton. We're now 4 days into a ceasefire, and with the possibility of maybe another week or so, what are the implications for the IDF?
I think every day that goes on with the ceasefire, it's going to be harder for them to restart the war machine. And that is exactly what Hamas intends. They are going, it tells us something that Hamas is trying to draw this out, that they want to extend the ceasefire more than 4 days. It tells us that Hamas is on the ropes because the 10 hostages a day that they're promising to give up are very valuable assets to them. And they are if they're trading those assets for time, it means they really need the time. And they understand that the longer this ceasefire goes on, the more pressure will build on Israel to continue that ceasefire indefinitely. And if they continue it indefinitely, then Hamas does not get wiped out and Hamas survives. That's their strategy here, I believe.
So the pressure would be internally from the Israel and also from the international community saying, no more.
I think mostly from the international community, but also there's just the sort of momentum that's lost that the military had built up, that pressure that they had put on Hamas to cause them to do this in the first place. They lose that momentum, and restarting that takes effort and takes energy. So you've got, again, the longer that this goes on, the bigger cost that is involved to Israel in terms of economy. Their people are all in the army now. They're not working, so the crops aren't getting harvested. There's just a lot that's not happening right now, and so that pressure continues to build on the Israelis to just end it and let their people go back to their lives. The longer Hamas can draw it out, the better the chances are Hamas will actually survive this.
Where would you say the campaign is right now? They're on the ground for several weeks, bombing from the air, destroying many tunnels, and they've really substantially taken over most of the northern Gaza. But what are the challenges both in the north and then looking south?
Well, they have surrounded the north, but they have not cleared the north, and there's a big difference there. I would say they're not even a third of the way through this, probably not even a quarter of the way through what's going to have to be done if they do intend to completely wipe out Hamas, because the second half, which is the south, is going to be much more difficult than the northern half, and that's because they're going to have to work around all the people that are down there. They don't have anywhere to put those people, so they're going to have to try to shift them around from here to there to safe zones while they clear out other areas, and that's virtually impossible to do. I mean, it's herding cats times a million. You're not going to be able to move that many people because they've got to have a place to sleep. They've got to have something, infrastructure to feed them, bathrooms, things like that, just simple things. You can't just move them out to the beach and have them camp out on the beach for 2 weeks while you clear out the neighborhood. In the process of clearing out the neighborhood, you're pretty much destroying the neighborhood. So there's not much for them to go back to once you get done with that section. And so they're going to have to solve this problem of what to do with the Gazans. Now, I've heard people saying, you should put them on a ship and take them out to sea. That's not really feasible. Transporting them all to the West Bank, that would be probably even worse because the West Bank is already roiled up. And while there are lots and lots of empty houses in the West Bank that have been built with U.S. aid money in order to keep the Jews from building on those areas, so there's plenty of housing for them. Most of them don't have water, they don't have electricity, and you are putting a very angry populace in very close proximity to a whole bunch of Israelis with no fence between them, and you're almost guaranteeing there'd be another October 7th in very short order. So they've got a very difficult Gordian knot to untangle here when it comes to taking over the South and clearing that out. Now, again, they're not trying to destroy the idea of Hamas. That's not possible. They're trying to destroy the infrastructure of Hamas. And the infrastructure of Hamas is the tunnels, the buildings, the rocket launch sites, and things like that. But even just doing that, they're not even a quarter of the way done, I would say.
Final question. Israel seems to be having like an almost impossible choices, between the safety of the hostages, getting them home, and trying to eliminate Hamas. How would you suggest Israel, or what can Israel do to solve this dilemma?
Unfortunately, in war as in life, when you make decisions based on emotion, you usually make the wrong choice. And right now, the politics of this situation that we find ourselves in right now are all emotion, 100%. We want to save the lives of these hostages. We've seen the photographs of these poor little children and the women that are being held in Gaza, and that's a horrific thing. And so obviously we want to get them back. From a heart standpoint, we want to get them back. But from an actual standpoint of achieving your objectives to make sure this never happens again, that can't be your first priority. It just can't. And if you make it your first priority, you're doing it at the expense of what you ought to be doing. And that is fraught with danger and risk. The danger being that you don't achieve your objective, and we have to do this all over again in a few years. And that's the real risk that Israel faces right now.
Well, Chuck Colton, thanks for your expertise and analysis.
Sure.
And we'll see what Israel does.
Yes.
Spending is at the heart of a political battle in Washington over an upcoming aid package for Israel. Democrats are fighting among themselves, with progressives wanting to set conditions on any new military aid. Dale Hurd has that story.
Leading Democrats in the party's progressive wing are warning they will oppose a $14 billion White House aid package to Israel if it does not put constraints on how the Israeli Defense Forces fight Hamas. The divide among Democrats is said to be driven not only by Arab American and Muslim voters, but by the generational split that has younger Democrats more opposed to helping Israel. In the New York Times, Senator Bernie Sanders wrote, "The United States must make clear that while we are friends of Israel, there are conditions to that friendship, and that we cannot be complicit in actions that violate international law and our own sense of decency." Sanders wants an end to what he calls indiscriminate bombing, a significant pause in the fighting to allow more humanitarian assistance for the Palestinians, even allowing them to return to their homes, no long-term Israeli occupation of Gaza, an end to settler violence in the West Bank, and a freeze on settlement expansion. Sanders has been calling for restraint by the Israeli military ever since the Hamas attack.
But while we do our best to support Israel and destroy Hamas, please, let us not turn our back on the suffering people in Gaza.
While President Biden suggested putting conditions on aid to Israel might be a good idea, it took diplomacy to achieve the release of the hostages.
Well, I think that's a worthwhile thought, but I don't think if I started off with that, we'd ever gotten to where we are today.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Republican Congressman Mike Turner on NBC's Meet the Press was not sounding as if he would oppose putting some conditions on U.S. aid to Israel.
Well, I wouldn't propose it, but I think it does accurately reflect U.S. policy.
But while some in Congress may support restrictions on aid, the far left wing of the Democratic Party may push for more than most members will accept. The demands by progressives have not only sparked an intra-party conflict with pro-Israel Democrats, they threaten an aid package that now only has a short window for passage before year's end. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Up next, Christmas canceled in Bethlehem? Many won't be celebrating this year while Israel's war with Hamas rages on.
Hundreds of Israelis slain, thousands of rockets fired into the Jewish nation, men, women, and children taken hostage. Israel needs your help now. Your gift to CBN Israel will send immediate aid to families and victims like Esther.
You've helped me so much, and now I don't feel alone.
She was locked in her bomb shelter for over 12 hours with no food, no water. There are still many terrorists. No one is getting out. The kids are vomiting.
My soul was crushed. I do not want to give to my children this kind of life.
Only yesterday morning, we were able to get her out of Sderot. All that thanks to CBN Israel supporters.
I feel like I have a mother and a father. You know what they say, that sometimes strangers make a better family than your own family.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com or text CBN Israel to 71777.
While the war between Israel and Hamas is focused in Gaza, its impact is expanding and now affecting the birthplace of Jesus at a key time of year. Paul Strand brings us that story.
Manger Square in Bethlehem is empty now, and Christmas won't be celebrated as usual in the birthplace of Jesus. The Bethlehem municipality announced traditional Christmas decorations in Manger Square will not be put up to show solidarity with those suffering in Gaza, the first time Christmas has been canceled in Bethlehem since 1988.
The underlying sentiment is this: they are trying to set a point in the community that even though Bethlehem, the Christians in Bethlehem are not involved in the battle in Gaza. What they feel is that as Bethlehemites, they don't want to come across as insensitive to the suffering of the Gaza civilians.
Pastor Stephen Corey is the founder of Holy Land Missions in Bethlehem.
I don't think Christmas should be canceled. They say they're not canceling Christmas, they're canceling the festivity of it, the lights, the decorations, and so forth. But really, that's the joyful part of Christmas from the outwardly sort of day-to-day thing. So if they want to not do the light celebrations, that's fine. I don't like it, but it's a decision. They're not holding us back from doing prayer services and doing a Christian religious service. They're not holding us back or stopping us from doing that.
A Facebook post from the municipality did say they wanted to show solidarity with Hamas. Pastor Corey is looking to redeem the situation and the season.
So here's what we're doing. What we're telling people is let the lights go out, but let the light of Christ shine. Let the decorations be taken down, but let the symbol of Christ's promise be heard and stand. What we're doing in the month of December and probably till the early January is we're going to set up a tent.
The tent will introduce people to the Nativity.
We're going to call it the Nativity Encounter Christmas Tent, the Hope Tent. This Nativity Encounter tent is we're going to get people to walk through this tent, Chris, and it's a Bible discovery experience where people can feel, touch, something dealing with what it would have been looked like during Christ's days in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. And they walk out the other side getting the message that the miracle has happened here.
Later, Corey is planning a more permanent encounter center in Bethlehem. This year, he wants to keep Christmas centered on Jesus.
And we are bringing it back to ground zero. And that the Christmas is about Jesus. He's the reason for this season. And that's what we're planning to do throughout Christmas. And we invite the world to pray, to stand, and to come volunteer with us at this tent.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, it's every Israeli parent's worst nightmare. News that their child has been killed in war. See how two organizations are honoring the fallen and their families.
Most historians agree the Jews were here first, but the Arabs will argue that they were here the longest.
Gordon Robertson investigates the Jewish and Arab conflict over who owns the land of Israel in the exclusive CBN special, Whose Land Is It?
You just scratch the surface and you find a rich Jewish culture and history.
Get Whose Land Is It? You'll discover the truth behind the dispute that threatens to ignite the Middle East today.
Who are the Palestinians and what are their claims to the land of Israel?
Call now or go to cbn.com/whoseland to get your copy of the exclusive CBN special, Whose Land Is It? For a gift of any dollar amount. Find out the truth behind the headlines.
Palestine means invaded land. Why should we call it that?
Get Whose Land Is It? Yours on DVD for a gift of any dollar amount. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/whoseland. Available now.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today. A new wave of anti-Semitism is sweeping the globe, and the Jewish state faces hostility at every turn. Now is the time for Christians to support Israel. In CBN's free booklet, Why Christians Stand with Israel, you'll discover why Christians support the Jewish state and why we must stand together with the Jewish people. Get your free copy today. Call now or go to cbn.com/standwithisrael.
Every Israeli family fears that knock on the door, telling them their son or daughter has died in combat and won't be coming home. Two organizations are working to make sure these grieving families don't feel alone. Caitlin Burke has the story.
All Israeli citizens over the age of 18 are required to serve in the military, with very few exceptions. The mandatory service began with the establishment of the Jewish state in 1948. And now, 75 years later, it's still considered essential to the security of Israel.
I remember when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, I had a conversation with my father, and I asked him, what would I do in the army when it would be my time to go to the army? And he then told me an answer that I think many Israelis in different generations heard from their parents. And he told me that he hopes that when I would be 18 and it would be time to go to the army, we wouldn't need the army anymore.
A dream that has yet to become a reality. Aya Elia's father saw all of his children join the Israel Defense Forces, and one never came home.
My brother, it was September 1997, and it was a special military mission of the Israeli commando, I guess what you call the Navy SEALs. And there were 16 warriors going inside Lebanon, inside a small village called Ansariya, when they walked inside a Hezbollah ambush. They started fire. Eventually that night, 11 warriors of that initial 16 were killed. One of them were left behind. This is my older brother, Itamar. Hezbollah held on to his remains for another 10 months before his body was brought back.
As part of her healing process, Aya recently released a documentary called Knock on the Door, a phrase which she says Israelis instantly recognize.
This is something we live. We live in the waiting, the horrific waiting for that knock, because the death of soldiers is so common and something so inherent to the Israeli day-to-day life.
While all Israeli families must prepare for the news of loss, they aren't left alone to deal with it. When Ronnie Mermelstein's brother died in combat, she recalls support her family received as one of her most vivid memories.
One of the most important things that I remember is that our house was full of people, and friends and family, and also people that we don't know who came to our house to support the family.
Now, both Ronnie and Aya are associated with the Atelef Foundation, an organization that ensures Israeli Navy SEALs and their families receive care in life and in death.
The families become part of the community, so they know they have always someone that they can reach to and someone that will embrace the family.
The foundation's sister organization, American Friends of Israeli Navy SEALs, has raised millions of dollars since this current war began to provide families of soldiers with multiple needs, from housing to child care. And when a soldier falls, they make sure that feared knock on the door will not be the last one the family receives. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, a family living in constant fear of Hamas rockets. How CBN partners help them find safety and peace of mind when we come back. Thank you for watching Jerusalem Dateline. We're committed to providing you with unbiased reporting from the Holy Land. Through weekly broadcasts, podcasts, and online media, our vision is to reach millions around the globe with the true story of what's happening in Israel and the Middle East, all from a biblical and prophetic perspective. This is a big vision and is only made possible by the generous support of people like you.
Call us toll-free at 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/Jerusalem Dateline and make a donation that will help spread the light of truth about Israel throughout the world.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
our little buddy Micro saw something completely inappropriate on the interweb. It's time to call on the kids of faith.
What do you got, Commissioner Gizmo?
Micro accidentally clicked on a link that was not for kids, or anyone for that matter.
Join the CBN Animation Club and get Gizmo's Armor of God, Helmet of Salvation, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Knowing that your membership makes it possible to share animated Bible stories with children across the world.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's such a difficult time right now for Israeli families. Many are displaced and traumatized by the October 7th terror attacks perpetrated by Hamas. CBN partners are stepping up to help these families when they need it most. Take a look.
Alina and her family live in Ashkelon in the south of Israel. After 10 days of constant rocket fire from Gaza, they couldn't handle the stress and felt they needed to get out of the city.
We saw rockets hitting buildings close to where we live. There was fire all around. During the day, it was easier to keep our composure, but at night it would get very scary. Every loud noise would put the kids on edge, and we just couldn't relax. The streets are empty. Everything is closed, and that just adds to the stress. I'm a hairdresser, and I can't go to work because we don't have a bomb shelter nearby. I didn't know what to do. There is a constant fear. We try to fight it off, but it's hard.
Thanks to donors like you, CBN Israel was quick to respond to the need. Through your support, we're able to host Alina's family and more than 200 other families in a hotel away from danger.
The kids are no longer nervous or anxious. They were crying with no reason, but now they're more relaxed. They find ways to distract themselves with other kids here. They play with their friends. They have their own stuff for their ages. They're having fun here.
It's such a difficult time for Israeli families. But at this hotel, Alina's family and many others can have a break from the stress and fear. And here, they can be together and feel safe.
I still can't believe that we are safe because of generous people somewhere far away. It's such a big gift. We're so thankful to CBN, I just can't find the words. You've surrounded us with such care. In a time like this, we're reminded that we all have to believe in God and humble ourselves because we've seen His goodness through your support.
Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. You can access our daily war updates on Facebook and YouTube. And remember to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, the release of all the hostages, the safety of Israeli soldiers, and all innocent civilians caught in harm's way. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.